name's John Lyons, and this is my very good friend Bruce Alexander.
Hello, hello. Welcome to the Netherlands. It's great that you're here. And you've been here before, you were telling me yesterday.
I made 3 commercials in Holland, years and years ago. One for Dutch cheese, why not? Another for insurance, and another for a bank. Very fun it was too. But I think Johnny was here even longer ago, because he's quite a bit older than me.
Yeah, I was. Yeah, I also made a commercial here many, many years ago. But I was here, probably before most of you people were born, in 1964. Yes, before most of you were born. And I actually did a tour with a musical all over Europe, and we played in Rotterdam. I forgot what the theatre was called now. And the musical was called Oh, What a Lovely War. And this is back in, it was set in the First World War. And I say it was 1964. And although we didn't play in Amsterdam, what we did do, we came to a film studio just on the outskirts, and I'm sure it's no longer there. It was called Dollywood Studios. Does anybody know that? No, it's no longer there. Well, I think I closed it. I think I finished it. So yes, and I haven't been back since 1964. So obviously I was a great success, because I haven't been back since. But yes, it is lovely.
Great. And you're still very much loved over here in A Touch of Frost. It still gets like 500,000 viewers on repeat number 5 or 6. It's still massive everywhere. Why do you both think it's still such a success?
Ooh, difficult one. When you're in it, you can never really tell. But it seemed to sort of hit the spot, because it's quite gritty, it's quite dark very often. It deals with sometimes very topical subjects, to the extent that there have been times when they've had to pull a repeat, in other words, not to show a repeat, because the subject's been so near the knuckle, so sort of dodgy. Like, I remember it was a terrible time when there was a child murder in our country, and there was going to be a repeat of a particular episode of Touch of Frost, and of course they couldn't show it. I mean, that's something to be proud of, but it just shows that the type of subject matter that we get into in the show is really quite real. And I think one of the reasons of the success that it deals with that, and also has an element of humour in it as well, and lightness. So it seems like, I hope, it seems like ordinary policemen getting on with the job in hand, you know, taking it seriously, but having a joke as well. So it combines both those sides, I think, really. Yeah.
And there's something about the relationship that the two of you have with David Jason's character. How would you define Toolan's relationship with...
Well, with my character, Toolan, I don't know whether you are aware of this, but before the show started because there were 3 books written by a fellow called R.D. Wingfield, and he had written 3 novels called A Touch of Frost. And when they asked David what he would like to do, he said, because Morse had been going, he said, I'd quite like to play a TV detective. So they got these books, they purchased these books for David, and gave it to a screenwriter called Richard Harris, who adapted it for the screen. But my character, George Toolan, is actually not in the books at all. He's not mentioned. Mullet certainly is, he's been there all the way through. But my character wasn't invented. In fact, it was invented as he began to adapt them for the screen. But on the very first day of our read-through, luckily enough, I personally, it was the first time I met David Jason, and luckily enough he and I got on very well together, where there was a bit of a spark between us, as people, not as characters, and we both thought that if we got any sense as actors, you take what you've got onto the screen, and I'm glad to say for he and I, it worked. We did seem to have a relationship together. We did make it look, I'm glad to say, as though we'd been working together for many, many years as Frost and Toolan. So slowly my character, if you were to watch it from the beginning, my character's just one of many, many policemen within it. But slowly as the years went on, thank God the writers noticed it, David certainly noticed it, the producers noticed it, that he and I both had a very good relationship. that could be worked on and could be used. And as that series goes on, you can see my character gets larger and larger and bigger, until at the end, I was his best friend, his best mate, the only mate he ever had. Poor devil. And in fact, I don't know, and I hope I don't spoil it for any of you, but on the very last episode, when he was about to get married, I was his best man. And you know how it finished, don't you? Yeah, I'm not telling stories, am I? Well, one story I will tell you, and I'm sure you do know this. Am I going on too long here? Do you want to sit down, you two? I've got a song to come as well, yeah. On the very last episode, when we got to the last episode, we actually filmed 3 different endings. And on the night that it was going to be transmitted, the decision was made. It was either going to be Mullet, who was going to die, it was going to be David Frost, who was going to die, or Tulin. And they made that decision on the morning as to which character was going to be that was going to die in the last episode. And of course, you know who it was, don't you? Wow. They got rid of me. But the only reason they got rid of me is because I'm more expensive than him. But no, David and I had a wonderful relationship. He had a different sort of relationship with him.
Yeah, that relation was interesting, wasn't it, Bruce? Because Mullet was like, you know...
Well, it's a complete gift of a part. We all want to play parts where, you know, people are angry, they're not very sympathetic. Those are the wonderful parts to play, because the opportunity for comedy there is extreme. When you've got someone who's repressing it, so poor old Mullet, wandering around the place like the lid on a kettle, as though he's about to explode any time. It was a complete gift. But I have a story to tell too. When we first met, when David, Jason and I first met at the read-through with Johnny Lyons, nothing to do with him, and I'd been asked by the production company to arrive with a moustache. Because in the books, R.D. Wingfield's books, Mullet has a little moustache. So I was asked to turn up, and so I duly did. And I arrived there, and there's David with his moustache. And there was someone else with a moustache too. Not you, but Nigel... No, who's the other detective inspector? There was another guy. Anyway, it looked like a school of moustaches out there. So I knew fairly early on that was coming off. I wouldn't be having a moustache, which was rather good. It meant I could do other work. It didn't require a moustache. But it was a complete gift of a part, because I think everybody relates to people in regular work, unlike actors, the people in regular work relate to a relationship they have with a boss which is antagonistic, or even if they've got wonderful bosses themselves, they know about all that going on. And of course, they're chalk and cheese, really, Mullet and Frost. They wouldn't get together at all, normally. Would Mullet be Frost's best man at his wedding? Pretty unlikely, I think, you know. But so it had wonderful, as we say, sort of juice in it, that whole relationship, I think.
And then you, like David Jason, is so much liked and stuff. But you were in a bit of a poor position, because he was always taking the mickey out of you, wasn't he?
Oh, well, not only was he taking the mickey, during that series, and we did it for 17 and a half years, I made a mistake on the 3rd episode, I think it was, which would probably be about the end of the first year. And I made a mistake, in other words, they played a little joke on me. David invented a little gag, a little wind-up, as we called it, on me, on my character. And what he did, I'll tell you very, very quickly, it was a scene in which David and I were going along the train lines, looking for the parts of a body that had been hit by a train. It's a bit gruesome, but it was true. And I had to my character found a finger under a piece of rag. And we rehearsed it, we did it, and I found it, and what have you. So the director says, shall we go for a take? I said, okay. Oh, John, you're wanted in makeup. So John goes into makeup on my own. Well, makeup girl was there, of course. And so I'm sitting there. Now, unbeknownst to me, while I'm in the makeup, David had replaced that finger with a rather large Cumberland sausage under the rag. And I come out, and I'm the only one, of course, who doesn't know. So I come out, I get on my marks, and they say, okay, let's go for one. Cameras, sound, okay, John, where you go? So, and I walked over, I said, I think I found something, Jack. What's that? Have a look. And of course, I jumped 6 foot in the air. Oh, and they're killing themselves and laughing. Oh, this is funny, funny, funny. Then I made the mistake. I said, David, you'll never catch me like that again. He said, do you want to bet? I said, yes. I said, how much? He said, £50. I said, you're on. For the next 16 years, they found a wind-up for every single one we did. And every single time it cost me £50. And they took it. But I didn't mind because it went to charity. They had some wonderful things. I'll just tell you 2 very quick ones. I'm sorry if I'm hogging this, but you've got me going now. They used to... Shut up, you, shut up. They used to have things written in the script. When the scripts go out to the actors, and there would be 2 pages of script for me with a speech that long. No, I'd learn it, I'd rehearse it, I'd even film it. It didn't exist. They only wanted the first 3 lines. It didn't exist. Another time, we used to stay at the Queen's Hotel in Leeds, lovely hotel, beautiful. And they sent somebody one day, the runner, over to the hotel to get a blank piece of paper from the hotel, back to ITV studios, and they composed a letter, supposedly coming from the Queen's Hotel to ITV, complaining about the middle-aged actor on the 9th floor exposing himself at night. Why would you want to expose yourself at 9 o'clock at night on the 9th floor?
I wonder if that was true, ladies and gentlemen.
Bruce, let's talk a bit about you've been appearing in another detective as well with the KRO shows. It's Midsummer Murders.
Oh yes, yes. Yeah. I did a Midsummer Murders. Oh, I should think about 5 or 6 years ago, in which I was on the other side, as it were. You know, I wasn't the policeman.
What's that like? What's it like to do?
Well, it's lovely actually, because the thing about when you're paying money, all said and done, you know roughly what's required of you. You know where it's going to go. And by the nature of things, there isn't a huge emotional life there, but when you're actually playing either the victim of a murder or the murderer himself, I better not give the game away, had I?
Not sure. I'm not sure.
The Ghosts of Christmas Past was the episode that we shot, but actually, because it was set in Christmas, remember we had to bring in artificial snow because it wasn't snowing. So they lumped in all this artificial snow at the location, and then a week later, when they didn't want the snow, of course it really snowed. But that's how it ended up. Anyway, when you're playing either the victim or the actual murderer, you've got a much bigger sort of emotional sweep to the thing. So it's much more of a challenge in some ways as an actor. So it was great to do that. Yeah.
Do you watch any of the other? Do you watch the competition, so to speak? You know the new generation of Endeavour
I can't say I do actually. I watch, I feel as though I do. I probably see the beginnings and the ends of it, but I don't necessarily, I can't say I do actually. And also as well, I've been away quite a bit. In prison. Oh. No, I haven't, I'm joking. I work away a lot, I'm glad to say. So I don't see much television. They won't have me in the country, it's true. But no, I don't watch much of it.
But you do, Bruce, and well, you're a big fan of The Killing.
Just recently, I'm sure you've all been into the what we call Scandinavian noir. You know, the Killing, Organ, The Bridge thing, and I think they're absolutely wonderful. I mean, they're doing stuff there that we don't actually attempt, I don't think, on English television or British television in quite the same way. They're long stories. Sometimes the plot is a bit dubious even, in that you get characters very conveniently arriving in the story in episode 14 or something that explains things that have already happened. But I think they're wonderful. They're very, very gritty, and there's a wonderful emotional truth there, and the acting is absolutely superb. I'm sure you've all got into that as well, but I think it's really very good.
That's why I was keeping an eye on it.
I needn't be here, I can tell.
But you guys, you said you were away a lot, so what are you doing now? How is life for both of you?
Well, since Frost, I've been doing mostly theatre work. I'm sure a lot of you will know this one that I did for 3 years actually, The Mousetrap. Agatha Christie's Mousetrap. I'm sure most of you have seen it when you come to London. It's now been going for 60 years, 60 years. And I played the Major. I played the Major in it for 3 years, so I did that. But I've also been doing a lot of cruising. Star paid. Cruising for P&O Cruise Lines, in which I've been giving talks about myself and of course A Touch of Frost. And we've been doing that my wife and I, for about 2.5 years. And it's wonderful. People say to me, are you retiring on these cruises? I say, no, I'm not retiring, I'm slowing down. At my age, I'm slowing down. And this cruising is a wonderful way of slowing down, because it's not hard work, and I see the world, and it's wonderful. So yes, that's why I've been out of the country most of the time.
What about you, Bruce, before we go to questions from the audience as well?
Well, I too been doing quite a bit of theatre work. I last did a show for the Royal Shakespeare Company called Written on the Heart, about the writing of the King James Bible. A lovely show, completely different sort of work from The Touch of Frost. That was wonderful to do. But then I've also just finished a series for ITV, which is going out in Britain in June, July, called Love and Marriage, which is quite it's a lovely, delicate family drama. So again, very different from A Touch of Frost, but that's what I enjoy as an actor, being able to do all these different types of work, which is very different from just following one character, because for me, that's the joy of acting.
Thank you. I'm just going to hand the microphone over to Claudia now for maybe some questions from the audience.
Ja, u mag nu zelf een vraag stellen. Hopelijk heeft u een beetje meegekregen wat er allemaal verteld wordt. We hebben het met opzet niet vertaald, want dan wordt het een heel lang verhaal. Als u nou zegt van, nou, ik heb iets niet meegekregen, kom straks even in de foyer naar Patrick toe, dan vertelt u het hele verhaal nog een keer als u dat wilt. Maar u kunt nu een vraag stellen en dat kan in het Nederlands.
What do you say?
U mag een Nederlandse vraag stellen, dan vertaal ik hem, maar ik kom naar u toe met de microfoon, u mag het ook in het Engels doen. Dus wie heeft er een vraag voor een van de twee heren of voor allebei? Ja.
It's not a question, I'm afraid. It's just a big thank you for coming here. It's just a breath of fresh air to see you guys. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
That's very nice to hear, isn't it?
Lovely.
Wie heeft er nog meer een vraag? Niet allemaal tegelijk daarachter. Ik ben niet meer zo heel snel, zoals u misschien kunt zien. Ik wacht aan die kant uit. Wie stak de vinger op? Daar.
Hello, I was just wondering whether you still have contact with David Frost and if you're thinking of doing something with the three of you in future.
No, I don't. We're certainly not thinking of doing anything in the future. I would love to. I keep trying to ask Bruce to do other things with me, but he won't. I mean plays. I'm talking about plays. I think I've asked David once or twice on a few occasions that we should do a play together. A comedy, but he won't do anything like that, he won't. And I see David, probably as Bruce would do, about 4 times a year, something like that. David lives outside London, I live in the middle of London. David is out in Buckinghamshire. In fact, I think he owns Buckinghamshire, doesn't he? I think he does. He lives out there. So we would only see him maybe when he comes into London. But I also see him, I do every year, what we call in England pantomime. At Christmas time, for maybe 5-6 weeks. I'll do it again this year. And David has a daughter, although David is now 73, I think. David has a daughter of 12. Yeah. When he was 61, she was born. So he brings his daughter to see me in panto every year, and has a laugh, and can't believe it. But no, I wish we could do something together, but I don't think we ever will. And I don't think, Bruce, would you ever work with me again?
Actually, my agent said it would be very bad for my career, so I've decided against that. I'd love to work with David, of course, that's another story. But no, we meet up from time to time and we have a laugh and talk about the series and what have you, but I think the chances of reviving a threesome, can I put it like that? Yeah, are quite slim.
I did actually, the last time David came to see me in Panther, which was a year ago, and we were having dinner, and I said to him afterwards, I do miss it, you know, Touch of Frost. He said, so do I. I said, can't we do another one? He said, no. I said, why not? He said, well, I'm too old and you're dead.